Hi, this is Dennis Consorti with Politipeeps. I'm here with Larry Sharpe. Larry, what's new?
Lots of stuff. I can't tell you it all.
Fair enough, you're a busy guy. And people are always vying for your attention. I imagine that it's tough to make time for them and also to stay mindful of your relationships, your family obligations. What are the biggest challenges and how do you reconcile their needs with yours?
Well, it's funny. I've struggled, and if you are an entrepreneur or you know entrepreneurs, you realize that entrepreneurial people will very often throw themselves into their work. They throw themselves in their work because it's how they define themselves. It's how they make money. It's how they make friends. It's a huge part of their life. So what happens naturally is you often begin to take a lot of your other relationships for granted, and it's a bad habit, but sadly a one that many of us do. And we think, well, I don't have to be there for my wife, girlfriend, daughter, boyfriend, insert thing here because, they always love me and they understand. And we think that often. And they may understand, it's possible, but they still feel crappy about it. So we have to be able to understand that and spend time with them. Now, here's the problem. When you're spending time with your family, you can often feel like you're missing out on servicing your clients or fixing your business or meeting with a prospect or something like that or doing some other work. So what I found in my own life is I actually had to prioritize my family and friends like customers. That was the way I was able to do it. Basically making my wife my number one customer. And when you think of it that way, sometimes people get upset. My wife was upset about this when I first mentioned it to her. She was like, oh, I got to schedule time with you now. And I was like, but you're my number one customer. And number one customer means if someone else wants time for you, no, because my number one customer needs time for me. So I had to change my own mindset that way. Now, you might not want to tell your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or whatever the case may be, that they're your customer. They may not like that. But if you are in an entrepreneurial world, or if you are an entrepreneur, you may want to start thinking about them that way. Because if you don't think of them that way, you're going to wind up taking them for granted. And before you know it, you're not going to have that boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse anymore. They're going to find somebody else, right? They may understand, but that doesn't mean anything. Here's a good example. I hear many divorced couples say the same thing about their husband or ex-husband or ex-wife. Well, I'm happy, she was a very good mother, or he's a very good father, or something like that. That's not how you keep relationships. Well, he was a good provider, or she was a good provider, or they were a good homemaker. That's not how you keep relationships. You keep a good relationship because you're a good spouse. You're a good husband or a good wife. If the person was a good husband or a good wife or a good spouse, then they'd probably still be married. You want to keep your relationships, you've got to focus on your relationship. And that's an issue, which means you often have to schedule it. You have to make it a priority. We often think, and I hear this all the time, look, my professional life and my personal life, I separate them. That's a bunch of garbage. No, you don't. All of us mix and match. You should think about the patience that you have with your relationships, whether they're professional or personal, as a gas tank. You've just got a gas tank. And when that gas tank is empty, someone's going to pay because you don't have patience. So if you use your gas tank at home, when you go to work, they're all paying. If you use a gas tank at work and you go home, they're all paying, right? So you want to make sure you're able to have enough gas in your tank for both. And if you have a problem with that, find ways to recharge your tank to make sure that you can have that for everybody. You have to make your personal relationships as important as your professional ones, or you're not going to have many personal ones at all.
That makes really good sense. Now, let me reverse this on you. As a leader and as somebody who schedules your own time, you know how busy other people are with whom you work. How do you compete for their time?
The funny part is you have to be able to always show value, right? The people who are of the highest stature in almost any industry, they actually value time more than money because they can always make more money. They can't make more time. So they actually value time more. And I do trainings, right? I'm doing training when I have juniors versus seniors. When I have a bunch of entry-level people or people who've just gone into the company, they judge my training heavily by one very important factor. Many things, but one's absolutely most important. Did they have a good time? I'm not joking. If they're junior employees, brand new to the company, or maybe the first year or two, they care about, was it fun? That's what they care about. And they don't care if they miss work. They want to have a good time. That's how they judge it. Was Larry funny and told us cool stuff? That's how they care. When it comes to senior people, been there 10 years, 15 years, owners, senior management, they care about one thing. Did he waste my time? In fact, I've had people show up for a class, think they didn't have enough time, wasn't good enough time for them, sign a sign-in sheet and walk out. I have to grab and pull them back so they'll stay because they assume they're going to be wasting time. So they sign the attendance sheet and walk away. They're the boss. Who's going to stop them, right? If not me, nobody stops them. They're juniors go, hey, boss, you're full of it. Get back in here. That's not going to happen. So if I stop them, maybe. If I don't stop them, they're walking away. And that's because in the past, they've had their time wasted. So I've got to be the guy who never wastes time. And here are some small tips you can use. You don't want to use phrases in your emails or your phone calls or any communication that says things like this. Just checking in, just seeing if things are okay. These types of phrases say, I reach out to you for no real reason. When I communicate, there's no real value. In reality, when you communicate with someone, you probably want something. You want a meeting or you want a conversation or you have to get an answer or something. I would speak more on what the value of the conversation is. So I would, instead of saying just checking in, I would say, hey, Bob, were you able to get the contract signed? What does that mean? That means when I reach out, there's a reason to reach out. A contract has to be signed. So now when they see my name in the email, then they go, oh, this guy checking in again. They go, oh, no, he must need something because he doesn't email me unless there's some value or some reason. So change your communication. The problem is most people, when they communicate with people who they think are of higher stature or senior status, whatever that case may be, they think, I don't want to be disrespectful, so I've got to be extra super polite. But that extra super polite is often seen as not valuable. I'm not saying don't be polite. Please still be nice. I don't want to go, hey, Dennis, give me that goddamn, contract. I don't want to do that, right? That's not polite. But I still want to let you know the reason why you're getting this text or this email is because we need the contract signed. So you start doing that and you will change it, right? They want every interaction to be valuable. So show them it matters and it's valuable, and you'll have a better chance of actually getting that time. But there's something else to remember. Generally speaking, people who are senior, they don't mind what I call polite persistence. They like you to be persistent. They get tons of inquiries every day. They like someone to go, you probably remember the movie from the 80s, Wall Street, right? If you remember that movie from the 80s, right? And it was kind of a joke. Gordon Gekko is the big banker guy, right? And the young guy comes up to him and he's like, okay, I'm going to see you. You called me every day for 56 days in a row, huh? All right, kid, come on. What do you got? That's an exaggeration, obviously. It's a movie, right? But the concept is a good one. I wouldn't call someone every day. But if you emailed somebody every month or every week or every quarter, I actually was able to close one of my larger clients because I sent the same email every 3 months to the person in charge. It said something like this: Dear so-and-so, hope you're doing well. We should grab a cup of coffee soon. Is this week good or is next week better? So something just like that. It was very similar to that. I did it almost every 3 months. It took me about a year and a half, but a year and a half later, when I got the response, it was, hey, Larry, can you come in and do some training? It was a close. It was polite persistence. I wasn't mean. I wasn't, how come you're not responding to me? It's my 4th email to you. None of that. Nice. Hey, can we have a cup of coffee and talk about some stuff? It was it. And eventually it worked. So polite persistence is good. Showing there's some value is good. You start doing that, the odds of you getting their attention goes up.
Got it. Now, you had mentioned that a person's family is their #1 customer. So my question for you is, how do you apply these techniques to conversations with your family?
I'm a little confused by the question.
So when you want to get the attention of a quote-unquote superior or a client or somebody who is short on time, you'll be persistent and concise often.
Mm-hmm.
When you're teaching a class, you want to be entertaining because they want to have a good time. With family, it's a different dynamic.
Sure.
So that's my question: is how do you apply
Ah,
these
yes.
techniques to that dynamic?
Well, there's two things also, right? Different types of family, inner circle, children, whatever the case may be, right? When it comes to children, as a general rule, if they're your children, or if you're the uncle, or if you're the adult and they're the child in a group like that, as a general rule, you're seen as senior, and you giving them time is like a bonus. They love it, right? The thing that you want to do when you're with your kids, and I learned this from my father, and I do the same thing. When I spend time with my kids, it is all about my kids, right? When I do. I don't spend as much time as I'd like. It's true. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm very busy and I'm away often. But when I sit down with my daughter and we play on the floor, or when I sit with my daughter and we watch TV, or we play on her iPad, or I get my pad out and we play some computer game together, whatever that is, I'm there. It's me and her, and we're laughing and we're joking, and it's all about us, and everyone else does not exist. My phone is off. It's just about her, and they love that attention. It's very easy to do, and they're happy to do it. I can schedule with my daughters, and they can't wait. Why? Because in their eyes, I'm the adult. I'm the senior one. But now it comes to spouse. If your spousal relationship is you're the senior one and you're the boss, that's probably not going to work out very well in the long run. I really want more of an egalitarian situation in that regard. Now, that isn't always true, right? Relationships aren't always equal. And also, they also change depending upon what you're doing, right? If one spouse is better in one arena, or maybe one spouse is the senior caretaker, where the other spouse is the senior homemaker, or any combination or mix like that. So in that case, there may be a kind of senior-junior relationship, right? This is my area that I deal with, so it's my specialty. But even with that, it's not a massive gap. It's just we're still equal, but this is my baby, right? It's that kind of thing. So you don't want to make it to where your spouse is lucky that you happen to schedule time with your girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse. Hopefully you don't have all three. But whatever the case may be, right? Hopefully you got one, I hope. But whatever. If you have more, whatever floats your boat. As long as it's consensual. In any case, if you want it to be more like, hey, how can we schedule time together? What does work for us? In this case, you want to do the polite persistence thing, because sometimes a spouse will not actually believe that he or she is a priority. They may think that you're just doing it to pacify them, and the real priority is still your job or your work or your company or your buddies or insert thing here, right? So sometimes they're going to test you, and they say, oh, I'm busy this week. I can't, do this cool thing with you. Then you need to be politely persistent, as you would with your number one client. And if you're a savvy business person, you've got to have those touches with your clients on a regular basis, or you're going to lose them, right? To keep building that relationship. Your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend is exactly the same thing. If your girlfriend or boyfriend starts saying, well, this weekend we can't have our date night because I've got this busy thing going on, he might just be teasing you. She might just be testing you to see if you actually care. Polite persistence? Good. There's a reason why in courting we like to be chased. It's polite persistence. It shows that we really care. It matters. So this is different than children. Children very often just say, I'm here, let's do this. They're very good off the cuff. You can just deal with that. But your spouse or your partner, you really want to be more egalitarian, more respectful, and do a little bit of a chase. It's a good thing. When you comes to outside, right now it's not your spouse, maybe it's your parents or your uncles or your cousins, right? That kind of thing. This is good. This is like your second tier customer. I know it sounds, sorry cousins, but you're like my second tier customer, right? I want to be good to you. I want to get out there and be persistent, but nowhere near as much as I want my number one customer, right? My number one customer, I gotta have the relationship. They're a big chunk of my money, right? But my second, third tier customers, I'm gonna keep, that's my periodic thing that I send out. That's my quarterly email that goes out to the cousins and the uncles, if that makes sense, right? So they're a little bit more distant, arm's length. But I still do that too. Otherwise, I'll find myself having no cousins and no grandparents, no uncles around. Except the sad part, and many people find this problem, except when there's funerals and weddings. That's it. You wind up seeing all your extended family during funerals and weddings. Otherwise, you don't see them. So you have to treat them all like customers.
There you have it. Time management and communication skills at work and at home with Larry Sharpe. And Larry, how do people find you online?
They can head over to thesharpeway.com, Sharpeway Twitter, Sharpeway Instagram, Sharpeway Facebook.
All right. Good times as always. Take care.